All right. Welcome back to Is Not Top Scallop, episode 7. The restaurant wars we've all been waiting for, and absolutely the most emotional episode of Top Chef in probably the entire history of the show. From
Yeah,
Austin
I was going to say, like, ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the most emotional episode of Top Chef, full stop. Wow. I'm not crying. I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm Johnny.
And I'm Christy from Baltimore, Maryland, and this is a conversation about Top Chef.
Yeah, Christy, mate. Well, yeah, like I said, it's Restaurant Wars is the episode we are sort of always, it's the big one, but wow, a little bit different this time, not just for the $10,000, but yeah, what a sort of edit of emotion.
Yeah. Well, when we get there, I'll say more, but yeah, this was one hell of an episode.
Yeah, look, I think not least because everyone gets $10,000. That's great.
Well, the winners get 10,000.
Well, sorry, not everyone. Yeah, right. True.
Everybody, you get 10,000.
You get 10,000. Yeah, everyone on the winning team. And as usual, someone will be going home. And of course, not to gloat, not to be that person. You know, I think
it was time.
It's time. She didn't do anything, and then she did do a few. She worked really hard at doing things not quite right, and then she went home. So anyway, yeah. Look, let's crack off. Big shout out to Nina Compton. I'm a big fan of hers, actually. Ate at her restaurant in New Orleans, and unless I'm thinking of a completely different restaurant, which I'm not, no. But it was pretty fucking good. I can't remember exactly what I ate. I think I was with a few people, and we ate a lot. Spent like a lot of money and ate a lot of food. And I have a feeling that was squarely in the period of my life when I was drinking alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so
that's why you don't remember what you ate.
I remember really enjoying it. Yeah, really enjoying it. And she looks amazing. The other lady.
Speaking of alcohol, for people who watch us on YouTube, I don't normally drink, but that's because we normally do this like at like 1 o'clock on a Saturday, and this is 6 o'clock on a Monday, so I'm having a beverage. Enjoy.
What are you? What is that? Is that a? What is it? What's the wine that's sponsored? Is that a Toledo Vineyards wine?
No, this season they're on Josh Vineyards, but
Josh Vineyards.
This is from a very fine box of Franzia.
Mate, love that. Love the. Did you know? Look, again, I know. Again, emotional episode. We should get to it. But do you know that the wine cask, the box wine as you know it over here, Australian invention? Yeah, brought to you by the great people down under. You are welcome, world.
Awesome.
But yeah, on that note, I mean, do you know the other chick? So, like I said, Nina Compton, awesome. Like I said, I really like her. I thought she was pretty good in her season.
She fucking got robbed. She should have won her season, man.
It was with that guy, Nick, the other dude, Nick Zelny, wasn't it? He seemed like a creep. Yeah, he seemed like a real creep. Not to say bad stuff about people, but yeah, I feel you're right. She should have had that.
I mean, I did not care for his ethics.
Sure.
So
yeah, his whole vibe was a bit slimy.
But yeah,
the other lady is Janet Zucchini Leany Eeny Neeny.
Zuccarini. You know her?
Yeah.
No, never heard of her before in my life. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, she seemed like a real bitch, actually. But
yeah, whatever. I don't really have a whole lot nice to say about her.
Yeah. She had a pretty face. Frozen in time and space. Anyway, not saying mean stuff. I was a little
surprised when you said she had a pretty face, and then, yeah, okay.
But anyway, apparently an incredible palate, according to Massimo. That lady had an incredible palate, but that's cool. What else is there to say? There's not much setup, you know. There's no quickfire obs because it's obs restaurant wars. Yeah. No one's at any thing here.
So I do want to say just a little bit about the very beginning.
Yeah, let's go.
When they're in like the apartment or whatever, talking about the day, Shuai said something that really kind of bothered me. He said, "I honestly didn't think I would make it this far." if you don't think you can win, what are you even doing here? You know? Or maybe he's just being self-deprecating. I don't know. But that kind of threw me a little bit.
No, mate. No. I did catch it. I definitely caught it, and I feel you. I did have that thought go through my mind, but actually in the end I attribute it to that second to something towards the latter, like, oh goodness, I never thought I'd make it this far.
Yeah,
like, wowie,
yeah.
look at little old me being who I am. It's sort of
well, it didn't seem like he was saying it in jest.
No, he had a sort of a sad sack vibe to it. He's like, oh god.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's his whole demeanor, like,
or maybe he's just intimidated about what's about to happen.
I mean, that was perhaps even a way of expressing that. Like, fuck, I didn't even think I'd get this far, but here I am at Restaurant Wars. Wow, this is a lot.
Sure. I do love that the note was slipped under the door, you know, to meet them at the warehouse. And, you know, the chefs joke about, you know, it might be a rave. And Tristan says, do you think it's a large enough warehouse to house 2 restaurants that would pop up in 24 hours? Yeah. And Lana's like, it's definitely the rave.
Yeah. I'm disappointed they didn't somehow get that in there, get some rave action in the mix. But, you know, again, we can't have that perfectly. But, yeah, no, for sure. We didn't get a BMW call out, which was good.
They did hop in their BMWs to head to the warehouse, but...
yeah, we got a bad shot, but no. Yeah. Hey, BMW, take me to a place, which was nice.
Yeah. So,
yeah, go on.
Jumping right into it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's Restaurant Wars. They get there, and they're told 3-course menu, 2 options per course. And then a knife block is how the teams were determined.
Yeah, no leader first or anything. Or yeah, I like that.
And I kind of thought that the 2 teams were well suited to each other, personality wise.
I mean, if you had done it on if you were the producers and you'd done it on a non-random session, if you were the producers and you had chosen those teams on purpose and given them knives to pull so that it looked random, you would have chosen them exactly that way. You know what I mean? You would have chosen them exactly that way. And I don't think you can actually do that. It's far too elaborate when it just, you may as well just do them random. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of the way this show went and the edit of the whole thing, mate, you could not have fucking scripted this at all.
Yeah, it was perfect. Vinny mentions that strategically he did not want to be on a team with Tristan because Tristan had immunity, giving the 3 other team members a higher percentage chance of going home if they lose.
Which is a fucking stupid thing to say because you're not going to lose. Like, the whole point is that you're going to cook so well that you're not going to lose, is my thought.
Especially when you've got Tristan on your fucking team.
Yeah, aren't you supposed to be super confident, Vinny, as well?
You know? Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I thought that was kind of silly, but I'm not in Vinny's head.
No, I'm not in Vinny's head neither, but I will say this. I think he maybe believes himself to be more of a competitor than he actually is. Because he said something, I can't remember what it is that he said he said something else in the episode, and he's like, yeah, I can come across as like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but you don't really. You come across as sort of like soft and a little bit lost. You know, like, I don't get hard man from you at all.
He's like an overly confident toddler.
Sure.
And I mean that in the nicest way possible. You know,
totally,
like...
yeah, respect. Or listen, sometimes it's okay to be descriptive as long as we know it's not mean. Yeah, the way you describe that, like an overconfident toddler, for sure. 100%. Baby boy, you don't seem to know what you don't know. But whatever. He's, again... Vinny totally has the good heart. You know he's not a shitbag.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that he is genuinely a good person. You know, he's not an asshole intentionally. And
it's the first time he cooks, again, while we're on the Vinny track and we're analysizing the episode, this is the first time probably in the whole fucking season that your boy Vinny has actually just cooked something and gone, it's a thing I can do. Instead of, this is the thing I learned at the Nomad or at this place. I cooked a thing where it was like this, and then we put another thing on it and bee pollen, and it was this, and that's what we did there. It wasn't. He just cooked a thing that he knew how to do, and it come out pretty good.
If this was an original thought, it looked pretty fucking great to me.
He mentions at some point, I can't remember exactly where, but he mentioned, I think it's when they're talking about it, or I have this, like, and that sounded to me like he's saying, I have a dish that's either exactly like this in my mind that I know how to cook, or, I've made this sort of exact same thing before and I can do it. Because he's like, I can do it with this or this. And it seems like he's made a couple of different versions of this dish before. And obviously, even Zuccanini says the only thing that let you down, and it didn't really let you down, was the pork. So
you couldn't really tell by her expression.
No, I know. No, I know. Couldn't tell much.
But it was a weird way that they did it. They gave them, the money, and then they said, okay, go get your, decor at the rental place. You have this much at Whole Foods, this much at the specialty market. And you have until 8 p.m. to accomplish as much or as little as you can today. Instead of, you have this much time to shop at Whole Foods, and this, it wasn't, they were given the time to do it as they wanted.
Absolutely. Basically. Now, what are your thoughts on? Do you think that's good, or do you think it was?
I love it.
Yeah, right.
I love it. It gives people
the opportunity to fuck up because they couldn't manage themselves as a team.
Time management is one of the most important things on this show, here is time, here is money, here are the things that you can and should be doing with this time. How you decide to allocate your time, that's up to you, and clearly one team made better use of their time than the other.
Do you think that, so I'm going to start, okay, so I've divided them up into two teams, obviously, as we're talking about all of this. For me, we've got Team Cute Grandma, Nonya Pepone, and you've got Team Not Necessarily, which is Flora and Fauna. Now, they get the Team Cute Grandma, they get the first, they seem like they're going to work together. They're all cute grandmas anyway.
100%.
Let's go. They're going to work together. In my estimation, they're winning what I've decided they're winning the early edit. Right? Like at this point of the show, up until the shopping's finished, I'm going to say that's the early edit, right? These guys are winning the early edit. It's like, cool. They're all got the same personality. They're nice. They're clever. And then their shopping strategy fucks them because of a couple things. And it's the girls have the seafood. So not even their strategy fucked them, but their capacity to divide groceries up before they went home.
They made a series of poor decisions.
Roger. And then they divided the people so they could use the time. They just didn't divide the groceries to go with those people. And so no one could use their time effectively.
And I hope that seafood was in a cooler in their car.
Ew. No one seemed to get food poisoning, but...
No, hopefully.
No, you couldn't do a stinky... I've left shrimp in the car. Don't worry about that. Fuck, I said shrimp, not prawns. But I've left because it was Australia. I've left prawns in the car, and you don't have a question about whether you use them or not. Yeah. It's very apparent. It's very, very apparent.
Yeah. And I'm kind of the... If I have any doubt, I'm like, fuck it, there's a pizza in the freezer.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not eating touchy seafood. I don't know shit.
Chuck it in the fuck it bucket.
But, so, yeah, and then at this point, I'm almost seeing a bit of a bye-bye schwai edit coming through. Because you've got, at the beginning, he's like, oh my God, and then he's like, I'm surprised to be here. And then it's like, oh, now he's like, oh, I don't have the seafood. And it's like, it sounds like this might be the beginning of your demise. The music for them gets tenser. Everything's like, dun, 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 dun. I'm like, fuck, this is really taking me to a place. Like, shit, they started out so cute, Grandma, and now it's getting hairy.
But, none of them on Team Cute Grandma was like, oh, I can't believe the fucking girls took the seafood, or there was no anger. Nobody was blaming anybody. You know, it was just like, oh shit, the
They also sort of
seafood is in their
stopped.
car.
They didn't do it. I mean, I wonder if there was anything else they could have done or called them, or they weren't allowed to call them or something, or who knows. But
No,
it just seemed like it stopped them worse.
From what I understand from listening to other podcasts about Top Chef, they're given burner phones for the shopping.
Yeah, sure. Single use phone, and
you can't go looking up recipes on the phone, but
right.
you can.
But they can't call this person. They can't call this person any time during the trip. It's only the producer.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, look.
Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
So, we are recording this on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
And my mom sent me a text message. Happy Brain Day. Because this is the 9th anniversary of my brain surgery. So, sorry.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
It
was successful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Congratulations. It's always it's always nice to celebrate a successful brain surgery anniversary.
Yes. So.
Yeah. Good stuff.
How they determined who was going to play what role. I think it worked out really well that Massimo was front of the house for Team PH.
Before you go for Team Flora, Fauna, McGee, because I have the same question about that. What about the same choice for Schwei and because we just sort of were talking about those guys. What do you feel about their executive decision choice?
I think that Bailey might have been a better front of the house choice.
Interesting. I reckon you're probably right.
I think that Paula did do a good job as executive chef. You know, she wasn't shitty to anybody. She was able to keep track of everything that was going on in the kitchen and go, here, you need to get on this. I'll take over that for you. And she did it with intention and a little bit of authority, but not in a shitty way at all.
She had some power. You could tell she was working her absolute little backside off. But
even though she might not have done an amazing job on Top Chef as a whole, you can see that in her daily life, in her restaurants, she's doing a good job, which is awesome.
And I want to even sidebar and say, to be honest, that's what I really was like. I wanted to be into her so much because I love the kind of Argentinian, Latin Argentine fusion with an American experience and classical training. That just sounds so cool to me. So I'd love to eat her food, but she also bored me on Top Chef. Anyway, but so I think you're right. I think Schwei, he ponied up for front of house because he's like, oh, I've done it. Schwei ponied up for front of house because he has it happening in his own restaurant. But I think he didn't maybe understand the difference between his own restaurant and
I get it. He said, I work in an open kitchen at my restaurant, which, I've been there. It is an open kitchen. But not knowing how often to go up to the judges, not knowing, oh, should I greet them? Should I not? Have you not watched the show?
It's like, it's the risotto. It's the metaphorical risotto of restaurant wars.
Yeah. I mean, Michelle made the same mistake in the last season in Wisconsin. She didn't go greet the guest. I'm sorry.
Right,
she didn't go greet the judges right away. And
at this fucking point in the show,
this is season 22.
Yeah. Oh, for some reason, I just decided not to approach the judges. I thought I'd better just leave them alone and let my stereotypical Canadian number 2 take over.
Which I will say, for the most part, the servers on this show tend to be banquet servers. So the fact
fully incompetent.
Yeah. So the fact that, he was like, has anybody been a server in a restaurant. The one guy was like, yeah, he goes, you're my head server. It's a very, very different world.
It's not a fine. Those people are not fine dining people. You can tell. Yeah.
No, they're not. But also just banquet serving versus, being able to write table numbers on a fucking check. It's banquet servers. It's either buffet style, or you already know that at this table these seats
beef,
are
chicken,
getting...
beef, chicken, beef, chicken, beef, chicken, beef, chicken, salmon.
Yeah, exactly.
And the vegetarian ones go out first just in case. No, for sure. And that's why it's wretched. I will say this, seeing as we're doing the Restaurant Wars convo, and maybe this is not the time to break in and have it, but whatever. That's why I loved the one, was it the World All Stars one, where they just went to a really nice restaurant in Britain and used his service team, and he was the maitre d' and the service captain, and all they did was all the chefs did was the menu.
Yeah. All they did was chef things.
To me, that was the best Restaurant Wars ever, because
I also loved, was it the first one during the pandemic where it was just the chef's table with the two open kitchens that were literally right next to each other? I really, really liked that one, but honestly, it made it too easy for the chefs because they only had to wait on the judges. They didn't have to wait on a restaurant of, 60 other diners.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm just going to say this. I actually don't like Restaurant Wars that much. I think it's a challenge that's geared to make somebody fail for something that isn't, in my opinion, central to what it takes to be a top chef. You can be a top chef and be shit front of house. You should be able to be a top chef and be shit front of house.
Sure. You
should be able to be top chef and never have to. Yeah, I just think, and like the same thing. Expo is different. You could look. That's why I think it should just be the menu and then the dining and the service. And I don't know if they've ever judged. Have they judged have they ever used the audience judging to judge Restaurant Wars? Have they ever brought in the audience opinion for actual? I know for some things they do, but for Restaurant Wars, have they?
They might have, but it might have just been some other challenge.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about this show. Most of the chefs who are on this show either own restaurants or they want to own a restaurant.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to open a restaurant, you have to be able to do all the things, because if you are having a service and all of a sudden your maitre d' has to bow out for some reason, has a medical emergency or something,
you have to pony up.
Somebody's got to be able to jump into that spot.
Of course.
And you have to be able to lead both the front and the back if you're the owner of a restaurant.
But the show isn't top owner of a restaurant.
Okay.
No. Look, mate, here's the thing. This is one of those things where what you are saying is the absolute logical counter argument to what I'm saying. You're 100% correct. It is actually in the chef's toolkit, at least by this one lens. It should be in all of their toolkits to be able to do this, or at least to say I'm a top chef, you should be able to be an integral part of a team that can, quote unquote, concept, develop, and execute a restaurant in 24 hours.
That's a really ridiculous thing to have to do.
Sure, it's bullshit. Yeah,
Restaurant Wars is absolutely a ridiculous challenge, but that's kind of why the viewers love it so much.
Yeah, of course.
Now,
of course.
I get that not every chef is a front of the house person. A lot of people who work in a kitchen should not ever approach the front of the house. Leave them back in the back.
I've worked for a lot of them.
Yeah, we don't want to allow these people to get anywhere near the public. And
I worked for quite a few of them who actually at least one who really should have been kept away from the people of the world, and he would expedite, but from the dining room side. So he would
Oh,
like lounge up against the pass next to a tray of lemons, and like when everything would, he would like bitch at the kitchen staff, and then he would take a lemon and cut it in half with a little paring knife and like do the final squeeze of
he was
lemon on.
performing.
Yeah, for sure. He was also doing coke with a bunch of strippers in the fucking as well. Like it was, you know, it was one of those things. I won't say his name, and he's no longer with us, so you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I hope you are doing coke with strippers in heaven.
but I think that on the other team, I love that Lana was like stepping up and she's like, I can do front of the house. And Massimo was like, I can do front of the house too. And I think that their Rochambeau was the best way it could have gone down. With Massimo front of the house, I think that he did such a great job. And Lana being on the line rather than Massimo on the line and potentially causing friction.
If it had gone the other way, Massimo could have easily just, like you say, he just would have been a stew pot of malcontent, and that may have soured the situation for that team. There's no question that Massimo was born and bred for the role of maitre d' on Restaurant Wars in Top Chef. Like,
I mean, he's clearly a performer. He's got a big personality.
Obviously, Massimo, to me, yeah, he's the obvious choice. We were just talking about the Rochambeau. That's right.
Yes.
That's what we were. Yeah.
And then they decide that Tristan is going to be executive chef because he has immunity, which I don't know if that's the best. I mean, there are two ways of thinking about that, but I do think that it was a smart choice because it's Tristan, and he was able to be a really effective leader.
Yeah, I mean,
first of all, let's send Massimo to Whole Foods.
Oh my goodness, yeah, let's get that guy fully out of our way while we give him a solo edit, which he'll fucking love because he'll play up to the camera for the whole shop at Whole Foods, and he's not a fucking idiot. He knows how to shop for food. He's demonstrated that he's obviously pretty cluey.
Yeah, yeah.
So I actually do. I think that was a super smart move, and then the rest of them are like, let's go and do the rest of it.
Yeah, and I love that Massimo offered up his idea, and I personally thought that it was a terrible idea. Because, you know, the 6 stages of Canada, you know, we'll go with France and then we'll go with the English next and blah, blah, blah. You may as well make your fucking idea be global, you know? So when Tristan, go ahead.
No, I don't think anyone, I would love to find somebody out there in the world that would challenge you on that. Okay. I would disagree with you and say, but what? No, hang on. Massimo has a point. The 6 stages of Canada could be a really, really interesting progression. Because I was like, bro, how are there 6 things from Canada?
And I don't even know what it would have been beyond.
The second thing French you said was English. Like, you know, what are you going to cook? What good? Anyway. Yeah, so everyone quickly. I love that Lana was like, "Look, you just Tristan,
like,
don't I'm going to pony it off to him. Can you just do something about this, please?" Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved his idea, and I get that at first they're like veg forward, you know, like we need proteins, and you know the whole we will still have protein, but you know like a vegetarian main with meat gravy around it. How cool is that?
Okay, so there's a few things. What you just said is fucking excellent. What he said was fucking excellent. What actually happened wasn't quite that, right? Vinny ended up with a huge fucking big lump, a big fucking round piece of pork tenderloin on that dish. It wasn't in the sauce. It was a pork dish with the confit squash. They just changed the name around when they sold it. But then the one for me that actually the real one that exemplified that for me was Lana's pie. But again, I guess we'll go through the dishes at some point. But yeah, I agree. I think the veg forward idea sounds so good. I think the way some of those dishes came out were so perfectly honoring to that idea, and a couple weren't really.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sold on the PH spelling. Like maybe they had a discussion as to why that mattered and it just didn't make the cut. But I mean,
it's pretty silly.
Yeah,
to be honest, I didn't even notice it until you just said it, and I'm looking at it even on the screen, not like just written down. Like,
yeah.
Why?
What does that bring to the fucking literal table? Like
I'm feeling like we've got
sailing on P&P's menu, and
furs are like, it seems like we're getting the build up of the tension on the cute grandmas, because they can see already that they're running out of time because they shopped badly, and any of the tension that they built on the Florin and Flora furs, that tension's kind of gone away. They're all starting to work together and do really good. And
everything's coming together beautifully on this team. Everything's going great.
And then
I think this is the first time you've ever seen a producer come onto set on camera and talk to a person on the show.
My brain is like trying to play the many times I've watched Top Chef over again in my head while I'm staring here cross-eyed at you in another in another state. But I think you're right, mate.
It's not the first time.
No, I think you're right. Any other time,
it's not good.
Any other time, it's to address an injury or something. Like, it's a medic that's you see coming on to address
they call
someone.
the medics on, that kind of thing. But
like, when Sarah Grunenberg had nothing wrong with her and she had to skip 2 days of the competition. Yeah. Sorry.
But as soon as they came on, as soon as she came on and said that she needed Tristan because there was a family emergency, I immediately,
yeah. No, it had every.
And then before I even knew what was happening, I started crying. Because I could tell by his body language when he was taking the phone call and then he sat down on that big ass rock. I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, fully agree with you. That poor boy telegraphed that hard. I don't know. It tugged at the heartstrings, but also I felt it was a little ghoulish almost. Like, it made me wonder how much of the hand of production, the hand of production obviously was not on steering Tristan's poor stepfather to beyond, but like, it happened. I would rather watch this show without them having contact with the outside world across the board.
Well, and for the most part, they don't.
Except for the occasional
but I mean,
phone call or
you
whatever.
Always have to be able to, if there is an emergency at home and my family needs to get a hold of me, and this was a legit emergency. It wasn't just, oh my God, we're out of dog food.
Sure, different ends of the scale, maybe, but right.
This was a legitimate emergency. And I think that it was right that they came and got him. I also kind of think that it was right that they left all of this in the edit, because his demeanor changed when he came back in the kitchen. You could see.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Everyone's like, hey, what's up, bro? And he was like, no, it's fine. Let's just go. Just
Yeah,
have
you
that
could
1,000-yard
see
stare kind of thing
that
going on.
he was
Yeah.
not okay. I love how the team respected him in that, if I know that for me, if I get news like that, if you come up to me and go, "Oh my God, are you okay? What's going on?" and give me a hug, I'm gonna lose my fucking
Yeah,
shit.
probably want to slap you away.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, for sure.
no,
For sure.
everything's fine. Let's just finish this.
Especially if it's something like that. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
a
So
team,
I
a
respect.
team focused event like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I respect that he was like, let's just do the work. Let's just get this done. And then when it was done and their time was up, he's like, my dad had a stroke and he's in a medically induced coma.
Yeah, and then later on, in between that, he dies. I'm glad that there was no, like, again, they made the right choice in exploiting this moment for production television, which, again, ultimately that is what it is that we're witnessing or have witnessed. I think they did make the right choices in not being gross about it. Like, they didn't tell the judges until after.
And I do feel like that was
the event.
actually
Like, the production team didn't tell anyone shit by the looks of it. Only Tristan told his peeps. I don't even know if the other team knew about it. But
yeah. Yeah, so that
it was
happened.
weird though. They sort of, I will say this, they went through it and then they just sort of left it hanging in a really strange and they sort of chopped it off in a really unfulfilling way. I thought it really bothered me. I'm, again, not sure what I would have done different or how you could have done it different, but I just was like,
I mean, did you want them to spend more time with them at the apartment that night?
No,
Exploiting?
exactly. Yeah, they're talking about it. Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Then it would have been very exploitative.
Fair. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so, right, that's just what they did. It's
Yeah.
like, there's all part of the day. Just got a phone call that your old man's dead. Carry on, son.
Yep. Next morning, they cut to him and, found out last night that my dad died. And my mother told me, don't you dare come home. He would have wanted you to stay. And
so the next day, obviously it is sort of a big end to the date, right? Like the whole boom. And then they sort of give us that, no, he actually died. Okay, let's go straight into it. And you're right. You really do. You feel the different, let's go, let's make them proud, let's sort of rising sun sort of energy from Tristan. And while the other guys, they don't get this like whole, it's not like they're hectic and frightened, but there is definitely the sense that they are already, they say that classic statement so many times. Oh, we're in the weeds, but.
yeah, that's because of your poor time management yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like I said, I think Paula did a really good job. I mean, it looks like she stayed up late, going, okay, here are all the things that we need to accomplish. Here's a timeline. I think that we can do it if we stay focused. I mean, she was ready for the day, which again, I think makes her a good leader. I think she was a really good choice for exec. I think that their food was not the best fucking idea.
Look, you mean in terms of not just their execution, you think the menu is a bit
safe?
A bit blah? Yeah, I fully agree with you. Well, look, okay. You know what, Christy? Here's a perfect opportunity to talk about their menu. Because I'm with you. I love the cute grandma kitsch. I love the idea. I think they could have
Italian vibe, it could have been really fucking cool.
The dishes that fell down, to be honest, were to me, or at least not necessarily even for the judges, but were the Latin ones. Like the fruta de mer with aguachile, that was just, it was a boring, muddled kind of dish anyway, and it wasn't seasoned properly, and that sounds boring as shit. But the
Well, not only
arancini,
that, but the chicharrones, putting those on top, and how are you really gonna do that family style? I get that it's a, bowl of stuff that you ladle out onto people's plates, but the
yeah, but ultimately,
chicharrones,
it's
they're
done.
gonna get soggy.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a soggy chicharrone. I think that the chipotle chorizo arancini, that was a great idea.
With Tornado aioli, oh, fuck. Have you ever had that dish, the Vitello Tornado?
No.
Ah, it's like veal. It's like it's veal with the tornado, which is with this tuna sauce, and it's fucking so good that it's like the aioli made from the tuna as well, and it's so intense and brilliant. Yeah, this if it's anything like what I think it is, this arancini killer deal. The fruit de
It
mer with
sounds
that.
like the most exciting thing on their menu to me.
I mean, they kind of said that, right?
I mean, who has not? I mean, everybody's had braised short ribs over polenta or pasta.
Right. And if you ever had, do you know when she said the polenta was too tight, when Nina Compton said it was too
Yeah,
tight
yeah,
to where it's almost rubbery?
yeah.
Yeah. That's just so unpleasant to eat with it's so unpleasant to eat. So I feel sad for Cesar for missing that. Um, I feel sorry for Bailey with the cannellini. I love cannellini al forno. I love making them. I love eating them. I think it's such a
But
great
is that
dish.
going to be a winning dish on Top Chef?
Yes, yeah, for sure. As part of this grandma chic family style thing, if you look at that with the arancini, that baked pasta reads super grandma, as she says. It's just that they fucked it up because, and she says it, they didn't have time. She didn't have time to blitz them all in the robot coupe so that they're the right size, and bits of almond in
So,
that sauce would have been unpleasant.
was it appropriate for a Latin Italian grandma chic menu? 100%. Is it gonna win Top Chef? I don't think so. Because, like I said, who's not had a baked pasta dish?
Sure,
Who's not
it's
had
got to be
braised
off the
short
chain.
ribs?
Sure, it's got to be
Like,
off the chain. Yeah.
yeah, it's got to be. And I'm the kind of person who, like, I want to order something that is new and exciting. I want to order something that I can't make at home. I want to order something that is, if I'm traveling, I'm like, well, rather than have that for breakfast, which I can get at the diner down the street from where I live, instead I'm going to get this cool breakfast that I can't get at home and I can't make at home myself. Like I just,
Chicken feet.
that's the kind of, I'm not eating chicken feet.
There you go. No,
I mean,
I
I
had
buy
chicken feet.
them to make broth.
I had chicken feet for breakfast once at a hotel in Shanghai, and it was they were surprisingly tasty. But no. Look, I feel you. I totally feel you. Here's the thing. Even without that, even if we say, all right, they probably could have pushed that boat out just a little further on the interpretation of the grandma dish. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying they're too grandma, not enough chic.
Yes, that's
Right.
a good way to put it.
But unfortunately, even if we say that, like, okay, too grandma, not enough chic, even then, I still reckon they could all have been pretty good. But the dessert was just wretched. Have you ever had a churro? Have you ever had a churro that is squeezed out into a weird little curly turd and then fried? No, that's not how to do it. Far better. I'm not a pastry chef. I'm not Mexican. I'm not an abuelita. I'm not nothing. But anytime I've eaten or made churros, they are ejected. They are extruded, in fact, not ejected. They are extruded from a pastry bag or from a thing or from whatever directly into the hot oil. And if you don't do them like that, they get a skin on them, which makes them go gross and dense, especially if they're already in a tight, turdy knot. And so
I feel like at one point he said that the dough was tight or something. I'd have to go back through and listen to it.
Someone said it was like, are you sure you're okay with squeezing them out beforehand? And he was like, yeah, it's hard work, but it's worth doing. And he's right, it is. That's right, it is. But it's worth.
Yeah, turd churros. The pistachio creme sounds good. But Paula's idea sounded bad from the get-go to me. I've never had walnut torta de noche. I have had tres leches.
Yep.
Part of the beauty of a proper tres leches is that it's an airy cake and then the milk soaks into it. But the torta de noche
is exactly the opposite of that.
It's so dense already. It's like a flourless chocolate cake. Super fucking dense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna soak in the milk. I think it was a bad idea conceptually. It's not that it was poorly executed. It was just that it was a bad fucking idea from get-go.
Two problems with it, and you're exactly right. It was a bad idea from the get-go to combine to do it like that. I bet you that Noccio cake is fucking excellent when it's executed properly, and I bet you don't put a sauce on it, right? And they sold it as tres leches. So when they didn't, whoever came out, Schweier, to explain it to them, he didn't say this is blah 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 del Noccio. He said
he didn't say this is a fusion of these two desserts.
Exactly. He's dropped out. This is Paola's tres leches. And so Gail, Tom, Kristen Kish,
Nina
and Freezeface, we're all there expecting tres leches, and they got a fucking walnutty lump.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm personally not a big milk fan. I use it in cooking. I'll put it on my cereal. I will never drink a glass of milk.
I don't drink milk.
So the idea of this dense cake swimming in a pool of milk, I don't know. It just...
No, that doesn't sound appetizing at all, Christy.
No.
That sounds disgusting. What you just said sounds very unpleasant. No, exactly.
Exactly. But, PH's menu sounded so good, especially in comparison.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you wrote down, we are a veg-forward restaurant, this is our menu, it makes... It reads, it feels, it makes sense, right? The way that it all unfolds, which I feel like the other one was a little bit, not forced, but it just seemed like a bit not that cohesive and interesting. I'd love to do that cured trout with the pot liquor consomme and the chiffonade collard greens. I love the sound of that. I love the sound of the chiffonade collard greens. I know exactly what she did wrong because I've done exactly the same thing. You can't just cut them up real fine when they're raw because they're still fibrous and chewy.
Yeah, collard greens have to be cooked.
This dish, I think this probably would have been super. Nina Compton says that she doesn't care for the raw chiffonade collard greens. Like I said, if she had just massaged them in the chiffonade with a little bit of salt and then rinsed them in fresh water,
that would have made a big difference.
It would have made a huge difference. But down the track in the editing, in the end, when they give them the big ups at the end, Nina Compton goes tits over herself to say how great
Yep,
that dish
put it on the
was,
menu.
and never mentions anything about the collard greens that she didn't like. But whatever.
I caught that too.
Yeah. Would order it, though. If I saw this on a menu, would order. Would fully order.
Yeah, 100%. I've never had pot liquor, but I actually have some notes in my little food journal from when Sarah from Kentucky talked about making pot liquor. I don't remember if it was on the Kentucky season or if it was World All-Stars when she talked about it. But I definitely wrote it down, and then I Googled it, and then I said, I want to fucking try that at some point. So yeah. Tristan's dish looked a whole lot more veg forward. Clearly in the pot liquor consomme, so for a veg forward dish, this didn't look veg forward.
No, you're right. Big piece of salmon.
Not even a big piece of salmon, just you've got salmon and you've got the crispy skin, which oh my God, yes. It didn't look veg forward. Clearly the veg was all in the consomme aside from the chiffonade. So I can see somebody looking at this and going, I thought this was a veg forward restaurant, and not understanding it.
Where are they from? And why are they coming to a veg forward restaurant? But no,
in
for sure.
Canada.
in Toronto. No. Look,
but
aside from,
it sounded fucking awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think the veg forward thing might even have just been a clever way on Tristan's part to sort of make sure that everybody steered clever and light.
Yeah, that's quite possible. He's one of the reasons why I'm glad he was exec is that he was able to steer them in his direction, you know.
He's one of those.
He did it in a way that wasn't overt. It wasn't forceful. It was.
You just meatloafed me on that one. I was going to say the exact same thing. Like he's got that big boy, soft voice, firm tone / firm voice, soft tone sort of capacity, that, yeah, he's got a good way of steering people. A good way of like the same thing when he called out Vinny either last episode or the couple episodes back. He like has a good sort of communication voice.
Yeah, and when he's like, "Can I be brutally honest with you?" And then he wasn't brutal. And he's clearly a very good leader.
Sure.
I mean, I would work for this man in a heartbeat. He
definitely comes across good on the old TV. That's for sure.
Sure.
That's for sure, yeah.
Now, his dish looked very veg forward. It was beautiful. Man, I wanted to eat both of these things.
I wouldn't have ordered it if this was a choice on them. If, again, not that it wasn't good, it was a little confusing. It was confusing to me. No, it was a little confusing to me. I saw it. I didn't really see the mushrooms in it. I didn't see the scallop in it. I saw it as like a bit of a creamy soup. They obviously love the tits out of it, and that's fine. But if these two things had been on a menu and I had just seen the menu description of the two, I would have chosen Lana. I would have chosen the trout.
So if this were my husband and I sitting down to this meal, he doesn't eat scallops. He's not a huge fan. So I would have said, okay, well, I'll get the mushroom escabeche with the, ajo blanco and the dawa dawa, simply because
what is dawa dawa? Do you know what it is? I'm sure I looked it up one time, but I can't remember.
I think that it's like a African bean-based. I could be very, very wrong about
Nah,
that.
you're hitting my memory too. I feel like we should probably Google this to
Yeah.
not look like fuckwits. Let me Google it.
But because both sound good, I would be like, babe, you're getting the trout and I'm getting the mushroom escabeche. And then I'll eat the scallops and we'll share everything else. Because I would want to eat both.
Fermented locust beans, obviously.
Okay.
You were right. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Follow again. They obviously they really love the tits out of it. It does make sense. They're selling it on the vegetable forward thing, even if you don't necessarily agree with it every time. Same with the pork and the butternut. I feel like Tom says it. He's like, this is not really a veg forward dish. It's a really good vegetarian. Like the vegetable on that dish, it sounds like might have been prepared perfectly beyond the capacity to explain. But was it a veg forward dish, not with that big medallion of pork in the middle?
I think that the ratios were just a little off. If he had added more squash or,
Yeah, 100%.
It looked like he took a pork loin and cut it down. So instead, a bunch of tenderloins. That way it's a much smaller medallion. That would have made a difference. But that it looked really good. I would have loved to have eaten that. However, I probably wouldn't have ordered it simply because I can make butternut squash and pork tenderloin at home. I've never had a pithivier with lamb jus, So I'm gonna try to go for the thing that I can't make at home or the thing that I've never had. And then if I have it and I love it, then I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna try to recreate it myself in my kitchen.
If I'm in a restaurant and I sit down and someone does come, agree with you 1,000%. 1,000%. If I sit down and I see that on the menu and I'm going to say pork and confit butternut squash, I'm going to be momentarily interested in the confit butternut squash because that does sound pretty cool. And after this, I'm going to try it. I've got a sous vide machine and also regular confit, so I might try a couple different things. And I just happen to have rendered the fat from 3 beef briskets that I had been keeping in the fridge. So now I also have a fuck ton of beef tallow. So I can definitely confit a butternut squash in a fuck ton of beef tallow. That sounds like something fun to try. Would I see this on
and time?
Right. Would I see this on a menu and say, I want this? The answer is no. Would I see a meat pie, because it is a meat pie, as an Australian, would I see a meat pie and say, wait, it's a vegetarian pie with a lamb jus? That's stupid. Wait, I want it. You know what I mean? Like, I would instantly say, that's fucking stupid. Why don't you just give me a lamb pie with a nice... Oh, I see why. Okay, cool. Let me try that. Yeah, I would love to try that. And the only little thing that is an
I also would just like saying pithivier.
Pithivier. Did she make her pastry?
I don't know. They didn't show that.
She didn't. They did show it.
Did they?
When Massimo was at Whole Foods, they linger on the branding is all blurred out, but they're these pink boxes, and he gets a bunch of them, and they are pre-rolled pastry, 1,000%. If she had made pastry, we would know about it in the edit because it's hard to make pastry. It's hard to make.
Yeah, you would see her either shredding the frozen butter or pounding it out to make a full puff.
Yeah, to do 60 servings of puff pastry, and
really they looked really fucking tiny though.
Sure, they did. They did. So I'm going to just give her a little for not making the dough, but nobody minded except Tom. Tom says she's a bit raw on the dough, but it slides in. I think, again, if she'd done this on the losing team, she may have been questioned for it, but she wasn't, and she slid. And so that's cool. Again, Lana, slid. Like, the lucky baseball slide, always through the middle. But you know,
and now I want corn ice cream with
corn creme.
yeah, and grilled blueberry condiment and blueberry crisp. When he said blueberry crisp before they served it, I'm thinking like blueberries and granola kind of, blueberry crisp. This was beautiful.
Not a sort of toffee.
Not a disc
yeah.
of blueberry that's been cooked down at, I don't know. That looked amazing. Also, I was going to, like, if I was in this restaurant, I would have chosen that dessert over a chocolate custard with chocolate dirt.
1,000%. I'm never doing anything that has dirt in the menu.
Well, I mean,
I'm not doing it.
And I know that I'm dumbing this down,
no.
But I've had chocolate pudding with, crushed up Oreos on it. I've never had it with parsnips that were caramelized in sherry vinegar. That part is intriguing to me. But it didn't sound exciting to me.
I just don't love chocolate that much.
It didn't particularly look that exciting to me. The most exciting part was the caramelized parsnips.
It looked like something with dirt on it.
I know.
It looked like something with dirt on it. That's why it didn't look exciting, Christy, because it had dirt on it, because it had dirt on it on purpose. It didn't look like something with dirt on it by accident. The dirt was there for a reason. No, look, I bet you this dessert, if someone put this in front of you and didn't describe it and said, just make sure you get like a little bit of everything on your spoon and make sure you crack into half of that parsnip as well, you're going to lose your face holes over it.
Oh, most likely.
But
and I'm always looking for the perfect bite that's got a little bit of every single thing in it.
But to be honest, I think where this dessert falls short is in the giving it a name, in having to sort of say, this is what it is. And you're like, yeah, all right, I'm not going to order that. But like you say, the corn cremeux, I've had corn ice cream and corn desserts a few times here in the South, and would fully order this. The grilled blueberry sounds, just amazing to me and different, and something that I, like you say, something that I wouldn't have at home and be able to be like, fuck, this is super. I'm going to remember this.
And I love that you've had corn ice cream, because it's something that I saw, I don't know, a month or so ago as I was perusing my way through an H Mart, and I'm like, corn ice cream. I saw it in the cooler, and I'm like, I'm not going to get it today because I don't have any room in my freezer. But I came home and I was like, hey, babe, they've got corn ice cream at H Mart. And he's like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I'm like, yeah. So I think the next time that I go to H Mart, I'm actually going to get it.
Try it,
because, I mean, duh, corn is fucking delicious. It's super sweet. I'm definitely gonna try it. I might get some blueberries and make like a blueberry confit to go on top of it.
Make a version of this. Yeah. Desserts though, I would, knowing myself, I would get that corn cremeux just to be getting something different and interesting.
So why call it dirt chocolate? Call it chocolate crumble.
Yeah, agreed. It's
there's
silly.
Just a nice, it's one of the few negatives that I would attribute to Tristan.
Sure, it's one of those dumb holdovers from like an era, from the Richard Blais era. Like, not Richard Blais' thing to do with it, but in the time when Richard Blais was at the height of his blaziness, people were like, yeah, chocolate dirt, man. We're really like tipping everything on its head. I've got a berry that when you eat it, it makes sour food taste sweet and sweet food taste sour. Wow.
Oh, yeah, I remember when he did that.
Right, that kind of shit. And you're like, okay, cool, but who gives a fuck? Like, why not just make sweet food or sour food and shut the fuck up with that? It's like, yeah, but it's like, you'd see it? It's like as though it's a graveyard and the chocolate is the dirt.
That was back when Blaze was still on fire.
Is that a dad joke? Is that a dad joke
guess.
from Christy?
I don't know. I just came up with it myself.
It was good. It was good. I like it. Very much so. When Blaze was on fire. Yeah, so I don't know. That's why the dirt thing is there. But otherwise, much better. Overall, we're talking about what we would order on menus and shit, but I'll say this. If I sat down at Philly Frenetic or whatever the name of the place, Fofro, what was it called again? I've really forgotten it. Flora Fauna, that's what stupid.
Phineas and Herb.
Yeah. If I sat down and saw that menu in front of me, it sort of would make sense, you know? Like, you look at it and go, I guess I understand what I'm getting today. If you see the other menu in front of you, it's a little bit, Yeah, so
if I were to be able to go to Restaurant Wars and perhaps dine at both restaurants, Grandma Chic's restaurant is not doing it for me.
Nah, for sure.
I'd be like, can I just eat at this place twice so that I can have one of everything? You know, I mean, like I said, a lot of the things that was on Grandma's menu I've had before, or I could make it home by myself. I mean, I don't know if I told you this. The way my brain works, I'm an ADHD person who's only recently at 49 learning what that really means.
Sure.
And it explains so much about my fucking life. But one of the things that happens to me is that if I wake up in the middle of the night, a lot of times I can't stop thinking and I can't get my brain to go back to sleep. And I used to have my next door neighbor, and I used to walk every morning 3 miles. She moved. But we're walking one morning and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm just really tired. She's like, oh, you didn't sleep well? I was like, no, I couldn't sleep because I couldn't stop thinking about arancini. And she goes, are you talking about the Italian fried rice balls? I said, yep. She's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, I don't fucking know. I was like, I literally don't know why this got into my brain, but I couldn't stop thinking about arancini to the point where I even said to myself, Christina Marie, you are a fucking adult. You can make risotto and arancini this weekend. Now go to sleep. And I couldn't fucking sleep that night, even after I Christina Marie'd myself.
Ah.
And that weekend, Friday night, I made risotto, and Saturday I made fucking arancini. But I guess my point is, I can make arancini at home, even though I have this weird brain. There was a lot going on at Flora and Fauna that I never would have even thought of, much less be able to make at home. I mean, some of this I'm gonna try to make. I'm gonna put some real thought into it and make some of it.
I feel you, because I've smashed a million cannellini al fornos myself. Like, it was a go-to for the longest time to just, and you know, again, I'm sure Bailey just rips it out of the park with great pasta and great everything, and yeah, maybe chunky things. But you're right, it's a bit like, okay, cool, I could have done that. Nothing really was like, oh, but they're doing it that way. Okay, I'm gonna try that because I love making cannelloni, but this is different somehow, right?
Nothing that she made makes me want to go to Chicago and eat at that restaurant.
Much.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not saying it's probably not a great place. It's just there are probably other places. If I'm going to spend a weekend in Chicago, there are other places.
Yeah, for sure. I went to what's her name? The Stephanie Izzard's goat one.
The goat.
Yeah. It was fucking great. It was so good. It was such a good experience. Overall, the food was amazing. Everything was awesome. The service was excellent. The vibe was cool. Everything about that whole spot was just superb. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's
Yeah.
definitely on my Chicago list.
Yeah.
Um,
Right, let's get to the judging.
yeah.
Wrap him up there. No, again, at this point, I don't think anyone is surprised, right? No one's like, oh my God, it was team Flora, Fauna, and Friends, also with a PH. Yeah, team Flora, Fauna, and Friends who got the win, right? No one was surprised by that.
Yep. Not surprised at
No.
all.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
Yeah.
I'm not crying.
Oh, I just want one more thing. The levels of service besides just Schwei versus Massimo.
Yeah.
This in Flora, Fauna, and Friends, the chefs came out to the judges and presented and explained their dishes, which I love that touch. So yeah, I mean they were impressed with both places, but of course Flora, Fauna, and Friends was the clear winner. I I love slash am sad that the judges reminded them, you also won $40,000. And that they're like, oh yeah, but they're not as excited as for people who you would tell, you all just won $10,000 each. And while, yeah, that's fantastic, you can tell something's
Yeah,
not
we're
right.
about to get we're about to get it uncorked, and I think when he's like, yeah, it just was an emotional cook, and he kind of does the quaver in the voice, and
he said it was a really hard cook for him.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, what? And Kristen Kish definitely she's definitely got a face for the eyebrow raise, right? She's definitely really good at the burp, tell me more. And obviously it comes out, blah, blah, blah. You know, all of a sudden everyone's crying, except for Tom, who's like stoic, and Gail, who's also stoic.
But I did love when Tom said to Tristan, you know, your parents did an amazing job with you.
Sure.
I felt like that was really heartfelt. And I know that on, you know, the Reddit boards and whatever, some people are like, well, clearly the judges knew in advance.
No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. I think Tom's just a hard ass, and I think Gail is even harder. Gail, she's just like a stone if she wants to be. But I don't think that Kristen Kish has it in her to keep something like that a secret while they're having to do all of the rest of it. I don't think she could have done that, you know.
I agree 100%.
Tom, probably. Gail for sure. But yeah.
I one of the things that I love about Kristen Kish being the host of the show is that she literally knows what these people are going through.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
She's been there. And when Tristan said that he felt like he needed to be on, and she's like, you don't have to be on all the time, you know?
Certainly good television moments. Certainly very good television moments.
Yeah.
You can't...
I mean, I cried a lot every single time I watched it. And like I said, we've had more time in between the episode airing and us
more than usual. Yeah.
Than normal. So I spent a lot of time this weekend crying for
oh, mate, stepdad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, I didn't cry at all, but I am a misanthrope, a complete misanthrope. My emotions are buried so deep inside me that just don't have the capacity to access them. No, jokes aside. No, I did.
It's in one of those blocks of ice that Bev and Sarah and someone else had to...
Yeah, exactly. That's me. So deep in there. Gotta be heavily chipped. No. Jokes aside, no. Even I had a little, I had a quivering top lip for a minute. It's man, it's not. Look, like I said, if you're a television producer and you get handed that sequence of events, you are not unhappy about it. They managed to make
Jesus, you're right. It's fucking good television.
Yeah, and it was all very wholesome.
It's another reason why I think they didn't tell the judges.
Of course, yeah. Fuck yeah.
This is better television than we knew.
Yeah, let's
getting their
let's just
reactions.
see when it pops out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's just see when it pops out and what we'll do about it. Yeah, for sure.
And I love that he waited until the winning team was announced, and then the winner of Restaurant Wars was announced. He didn't let it color their decision.
No, exactly.
More than the producers would let it color their decision.
Which, whatever else you think about how it was handled or whatever, Tristan himself comes out of this looking even cooler. You know what I mean? Like he's so sort of such a nice dude, honorable, weathers the storm, does it for the team. He's
dad.
Does it for dad. He's looking pretty solid at this point.
Yep.
And he obviously, again, I'm not saying that because it's like just a story. The guy obviously has a particular insight into the food that he likes to cook, and he's got his own sort of journey that he's obviously on. And so, it's cool to see that writ large. He hit a little tragedy and then come off good. And he had immunity. It's sort of like, fuck.
Yeah.
You couldn't script it. But in the end, he gets the win and Paula goes home. And I'm not surprised by that.
The right choice. I love that Bailey
chuck an oar in there.
Yeah, she threw her, 2 cents in. I don't think that what anybody else said was going to save Paula. I do think Paula did a great job as exec once they were all in the same fucking place again and prepping. I think that the initial let's all go shopping together was the biggest mistake that they made.
Yeah, that was the dumbest thing. They would have had a completely different episode.
I think that they still would have lost.
Agreed.
But yeah, it was the right choice to send Paula home. And honestly, you and I have been saying she's been right in the middle.
Not to be mean, but just like, man, not every season, but almost every season of Top Chef, there's one contestant where you're like, how the fuck are they still here? Because they get the luck of good choices in the drawings or whatever.
And really and truly, this was probably one of her best showings. She really showed that she can be a great leader in a kitchen. And I love that for her.
Well, while we're at it, I think the dish that she cooked in Last Chance Kitchen is the best dish she's cooked all fucking season. And she's still
too bad she undercooked the lobster.
Yeah, bad mistake. But
I do. Let's go into Last Chance Kitchen.
Straight up, yeah.
I love that when Tom was like, Grandma Chic, Katiana is like, what the fuck did I just hear?
Yeah.
So yeah, Grandma Chic. I honestly don't have a whole lot to say about Last Chance Kitchen.
No, I don't care. I mean, look, like I said, I think that the standout for me from this episode of Last Chance Kitchen, there are 2 standouts, right? I think Paula really genuinely, the dish she made, and I watched it like an hour ago and I still can't remember what it is, but whatever it was, the lobster, that's right, the lobster from Ecuador.
And a sauce.
In a sauce, yeah. Look, like I said, I think that might have been the best dish she made, even though she fucked it up and went home. Okay, bye. What I did like is that Katiana appears to have settled in to the Last Chance Kitchen environment and is finding some strength in that. And I like that because I think she probably needed.
Did.
Yeah, exactly. The scallop dish from her, what I wrote down it seems like a bit of a mishmash. It seems like something that you make because you have those ingredients in the fridge. Like you bought scallops, you were going to make scallops for someone, but then someone else showed up who doesn't do seafood. So you're like, oh, that's fine. I'll just cook this other thing instead. And so you've got the scallops in your fridge. You're like, oh, okay, fuck, I have to cook these scallops. What am I going to do? I've got these snow peas as well. We'll do that. Splash in some soy sauce. Boom. But you're not going to make a note of it and say, oh my God, I have to remember what I did here because it was fucking life changing. It's just food.
Well, and for me, my grandparents never made lobster or scallops,
Sure,
like
sure.
when I think of, grandma and her food, I go to my great grandmother and Sunday roast with gravy and potatoes and vegetables. And, it was a good old, Southern
Yeah,
situation.
I think in this case the path to grandma's house was taken with many, many, many steps for Last Chance
Yes.
Kitchen.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
oh mate, I'm spent though, really, physically, emotionally. It was such an emotional show. But still the cooking was good. Not my favorite restaurant wars of all time. Not my least favorite restaurant wars of all time. I made my opinion known. I don't love restaurant wars. I think it's a shit challenge, but I see why it's favorite of everyone else.
Sure.
Um,
I mean, it makes sense.
it's from here on out. It's 7 left, and no immunity, right?
7 left plus whoever's coming back from Last Chance Kitchen.
So technically 8 left.
Yep. And no
Half,
immunity.
no immunity. Let's go. We're
Hmm. So, I think it's time for hands up, utensils down.
absolutely, mate. What a great conversation about Top Chef. Is not Top Scallops. See you all next week. Bye, Scallops.
Bye, Scallops.